Hi everybody, so today I've got a Lisa Eldridge review. I've got 3 of her new Pinpoint concealers. Now I'm going to show you how I'm using these in 2 very different ways. So I'm looking forward to showing you that, and also because this will be my first time trying these 2 different ways, I'm really looking forward to seeing for myself just how much I can do with these, and I think there's quite a few things I can do, so I'm quite excited about that. I've also picked up her brand new brush. This is a blender brush which I think I can use for cream products, so I will be using this today to apply my skin tint. I've got the Lisa Eldridge skin tint today, so I'm going to be testing out this brush. I've got the Sweet Bouquet palette from Dior, which seems to have just crept in from nowhere with the new releases. This didn't seem to come with, well, it did come with the spring release, but it didn't seem to be advertised with a spring release, but it seemed to pop up. Certainly I was informed about it by a friend of mine, so I've grabbed this. It looks really pretty and certainly goes with the spring releases colour wise, so I'll be trying out this one today for the first time. And also Glossier have just released 3 new shades in 3 of their popular products in Black Cherry. Black Cherry's a sort of trend at the moment. It's not a trend I normally would jump on board with. Anything black currant, black cherry tends to look overwhelming on me. But when I saw the pictures in the promo for these, I thought they looked really nice, and they did show them on fair skin, so I'm willing to give these a go. I do like trying new things, so I'm really curious to see if I can get away with these colours with my skin tone and with my light colouring, so that'll be interesting. Anyway, if you're new here, hi, my name's Hannah, I'm 48, I'm not a professional, I'm just somebody who loves makeup and beauty, and here on my channel I review the latest products, show you my favourite looks and give you any beauty news you might be interested in. If you think you'd enjoy this content, I do upload here regularly on my channel, and I'd appreciate it so very much if you subscribed. It's super helpful, and if you're already subscribed, welcome back. I really appreciate you for being here. And my skin tone, I've got fair to light skin with neutral/cool undertones, and I've got combination skin with a slightly oily T-zone but mostly dry skin. Anyway, that's enough about me. Let's get straight into this video. So I've picked up 3 of these Pinpoint concealers from Lisa Eldridge. There are 16 different shades. I'll pop up a picture here now showing you all of the different shades. And also if you go on Lisa's website, there is a chart, and I will pop up a picture of that as well now. I think I'll pop that on the other side and keep both pictures up for you for a little bit, and obviously pause and zoom in as necessary, or screenshot, whatever's better for you. And the chart actually shows you which shades to buy for which purpose, going by the shade you are in the skin tint. So at the moment, even though I do think I could probably try a few other shades, I am using T3 in the skin tint. I've been very happy with that. I haven't gone back to try another. I do think I probably could get away with a couple of others. It's quite a stretchable shade, the skin tint. My skin tint of the year last year, and my #1 skin tint certainly of all time, actually. I love it. So I'm T3 in that. So if you look at the chart, I didn't actually check to see what it recommended for me before purchasing, and I did that on purpose because I had ideas of my own. But since checking, it tells me to just use 2 for both purposes, which is to camouflage and lift and correct. So you can use these for different purposes. So a lot of you may find that you want 2 different shades, and now that I've actually looked at these 3, I think it's probably most likely I'll want 2 as well, even though it's recommending just the 1 shade for me. But I will get into that as I'm demonstrating, because I've got a few ideas of my own on how I will be using this. So a little bit of information about this. I watched Lisa's video giving us some information, and I just took down some notes that I thought might be interesting for you from that video. So firstly, the tip on this is 1.5 millimeters. It's one that you can roll up. I thought it wasn't working then, but it is working. And you can also shape it by pulling this bottom section out here, and you can sharpen it up and shape it if the point becomes less sharp, if that's how you want it anyway. This is also self-setting, waterproof, long wearing, and you can wear this on top of foundation or your skin tint and underneath. So this is designed to correct spots, pigmentation, and any makeup mistakes. And also I think it could be used for sharpening and perfecting looks, which is something I will go into and try out today. And that's basically all the notes I've made. I've said I've made all these notes. That's all the notes I made that I thought were relevant. So anyway, I then watched Lisa's demonstration of it. And like I said, I've come up with a few plans of my own in how I'm going to use this. And also, if you're curious, this is the first of a concealer release from Lisa. I believe there's at least one. I don't know if it's more than another one coming, but there's definitely a liquid standard concealer. So this is not a concealer that you use in the normal sense where you put it all underneath your eyes and into all the areas that you put concealer. This is very much for picking out specific areas where you want to pinpoint and correct. But like I said, I've got a few ideas in the way I'll be using this, and I'm hoping it'll be really good for those things. So the first thing I'm going to do now is go straight into my first demonstration, which I actually did earlier this morning. So this morning, right after washing my hair and before applying all of my skincare, I tested this out just using it directly on my skin so I can see how this works for a no makeup day. So I'm going to go straight to that demonstration for you now to hear that is. So I've just had a shower and all I've got on my face at the moment is moisturiser, absolutely nothing else, because I will be washing this off to do the completely second and separate application of these concealers on top of skin tint. So I don't want to have any concealer underneath when I do that, obviously, because I want to see how this works over the skin tint. So I've got the first 3 shades here, which I'm now going to swatch on the back of my hand. So shade 1 has a rosy undertone. So there it is. And shade 2 has a neutral golden undertone. There is the neutral golden there. And then shade 3 is a golden. Now this is the sort of shade I would often use to correct darkness. So there's that one there. So you can see quite a significant difference between the 3 shades. Now for me, this one here, the rosy one, would be the sort of brightening one. Possibly the one I would use to sharpen when I've put my eyeshadow on. So I'm not sure if that would be the right sort of tone for correction. So I'm going to basically try 2 and 3 first. So I think, looking at my hand, that probably shade 3 would be the best one in the darkest areas. Now Lisa said that once all your makeup's done, you can go in and correct darkness. But just by way of experiment, I maybe want to try this as a sort of corrector, because I always put a corrector on underneath my concealer. So I'll go in with shade 3 and put some in the areas where I have darkness, which is here. And a very bad night's sleep means I've got quite a bit today, so that's quite good. So I'm just going to sort of scratch this in. I know Lisa says you can just scribble this in, but I'm not really doing pinpoint quite so much as I am correction with this. But I've got a few ideas of how I want to use this, and this is one of them. And I think that's done a very good job actually of correcting the darkness. Hasn't completely gone. It is sitting a little bit cakily. Is that a word? Cakily? It does look a tiny bit cakey. Now that might be because I don't have all my skin prep on. In fact, it probably is. So I'll just pop a little bit of my Delilah eye cream. Now obviously when I apply this later on top of skin tint, I will have put all of my skincare on, so I'll be a lot more moisturised. But I'll just put some skincare here, the Delilah one, and in a minute I'll go in and do this side just to see if it sits a bit better. But anyway, you can see there how it's corrected it hasn't completely got rid of it, but it certainly helped. So I think that could be an option for it. So if I was going to pinpoint and not do anything else, so I've just got moisturiser if I just want to go for a completely no makeup day, or if I want to correct things prior to putting my makeup on, which is something you obviously can do, and then you don't need to do any corrections afterwards. There's obviously two ways of doing this. So this would be the first way. So let's say I've got my full base on, I've got my primer on, and now I'm going in to just do the corrections before applying a skin tint. So I don't actually get pimples and spots at all really, so very rarely, and I don't have any at the moment, so I can't show you how it will correct that. But the things that irritate me, I've got little sort of red marks and pigmentation on my forehead, and I've got this sunspot which is actually nearly vanished, but this used to drive me mad. But I've got this freckle here which actually doesn't bother me either if I'm honest, but I'd like to show you whether or not it corrects it. So I'm going to scribble over here using shade 3. So Lisa said you just scribble, and I'll do it there. I'm going to try shade 2 on the forehead so we can see there's much of a difference, and then just tap it in. So it seems to be tapping in nicely here where I've got the moisturiser. I'm just so dry under the eye, that's probably why it caked a bit. So that's definitely helped, but it hasn't gone, I wouldn't say. So now I think I'll go back in with a bit more and just tap in gently. That's definitely covering a lot now. The freckle not so much. I don't know what's going on with the freckle. The freckle does not want to be covered up. So that has definitely covered it a little bit. I wouldn't say it's completely gone. I don't know whether to go in for a third one. Maybe this time tap it in with a brush. So I'm using my concealer brush, my Rapha concealer brush, and I'm patting it in, which is really my preferred method rather than fingers. Yeah, I think that's worked better. I prefer it with the brush. So now on my forehead, I'm going to try shade 1 and shade 2 on both sides. So I'll start with the shade 1, which is the slightly pinky one. Now I wouldn't always use pink to correct redness, but I'm going to try it just on this side of the forehead. So these are the areas that I just want correction. And I'll go in with shade 2, which is the golden neutral, and remember shade 1 was the rosy, and I'm going to use shade 2 on this side so we can compare the difference between the two. And see, I've got this little freckle here. I've also got this vein which is really visible on this side of the face, so I'm actually going to take it over all of that. So I'm going to pat it in. I seem to have more luck with that than fingers. I know Lisa said fingers, but I think we're all different with our skin, and sometimes things work better for different methods, work better for different people. So patting this in I think has a better finish, and I think those red marks are really getting concealed quite nicely and also quite quickly. I'll just pat the brush off a little bit in case I've got that sort of rose still on there, and now go over to this side where I'm patting in the golden neutral. I think the golden neutral definitely does a better job than the pink. So I'm putting sort of pink on top of pink. So I do think the pink has a purpose, but for me that's going to be brightening, and that's going to come in when I've got my makeup on. So I'm going to reserve shade 1 for that review, which will come next. But so far I think shade 2 might be my best bet out of the 3. So this side I've got quite a bit of sort of capillaries that are broken on the surface of my skin here, which drive me crackers. So this is something that foundation, unless it's sort of medium to full coverage, doesn't always get rid of. So it's not really a pinpoint thing here, because it's this whole patch of my cheek. But I'm going to sort of scribble over all of this using the shade 2 pen, and also maybe a little bit here on the nose. And now pat this in with the brush. Just realised I didn't go over this bit here where I was trying to cover the vein. Completely forgot about that, so I hope it hasn't dried down, because I have heard that the dry down on this is super fast. It does look a bit cakey there, doesn't it? And that's probably because I've let it dry down too quickly. Well, I think that that has done a fabulous job on my cheek. That really has, without making it look like, which is what Lisa says, isn't it? Without making it look like I'm wearing any sort of makeup, it has just completely corrected the redness on my cheek. So I'm going to do the same on this side. I don't have quite as much of it on this side. So I've already used shade 3 there to cover that sunspot, but I'm just going to sort of scribble over these areas here where I've got little patches of redness, and I've also got quite a bit of this on my chin. So I'm going to take it there as well. Now go in quickly. I think something maybe I'm doing wrong here actually is putting it in lots of places and then patting it in, because when I get to the last bit I'm noticing it does look a bit cakey, and that's because it's already drying before it's being pushed into the skin. So don't do what I just did, do it in little stages would be my advice. But I think this has really done a good job of perfecting everything in a very natural way. So this is so much lighter than a normal thick concealer, but this is just correcting those little imperfections. Also put a little bit here on the nose where I've got this redness. Maybe take a little bit here on the tip of my nose, which is a bit red today. And I've got this mark here, which always seems to show up. So I'm going to just scribble over this mark here and then pat this in. That's done quite a good job. It hasn't completely gone, but it's certainly improved it. So now that my skincare has time to absorb in my eye, I'm going to go here again into this area where I've got darkness. And I'm hoping it won't settle in a sort of cakey way like it did the first time I tried this. And this time I'm going to use the brush because that just seems to agree more with me, doesn't it? Oh yeah, that is much better. So there we go, that's the solution for that. That does a really nice job as a corrector, you know. I want to try now this purple vein that's really obvious on my eye. I'm going mad now, I'm trying to cancel out every single thing on my face. But anyway, we are testing the product, so let's see. Because I do like to do these things as a first step in my makeup routine, but also if you're having a no makeup day, these little touches. See, that hasn't removed the vein, but it's made it less obvious. It's also brightened the top of the eye a bit. This is a really good formula. And you can just use it for different things. Like I said, the no makeup look, if you're just looking for a really quick touch up in little areas. Maybe take some here where I've got purple as well. So I know that this is not pinpoint concealing. We have tried pinpoint concealing with this now in several areas, like up here and here and here. I'm just trying to show you the multiple ways I might use this. And so far, I think because I don't tend to need to pinpoint conceal, this is how I'd use it and how it will be useful to me, because some people who maybe don't get spots like me might be wondering what this might be good for. And I can see a lot of good things for this, such as what I've just done. So a quick scribble over the eyes and in the inner corner is going to get rid of my darkness. I can pinpoint certain areas if I'm wearing a super light foundation that can't cover up any marks. Obviously, if I get a little spot, which I only get maybe once a month with hormones, and then I can use it for that as well if I'm using light coverage. So this would be the first option. The only other thing I want to show you before I go off camera is how easily removed it is. So I've heard the dry down on this is phenomenal and it's totally waterproof. So I've got here a rice water wipe, which are more gentle than makeup remover wipes. So we have the ones on the back of my hand. So I'm just going to wipe over that to see if it comes off. It's come straight off in one wipe. So it's not difficult to remove. Obviously that's not necessarily telling me that it's fully waterproof. But let me remove everything I've done from one side, and then maybe we can see the difference between the side I used it on and the side I didn't use it on. So you can see the difference now between this side of the forehead is not corrected and this side is, or concealed. And my cheek here has the concealer on, and my nose area and my chin, and this side doesn't. I think you can see quite a clear difference between using it and not using it. So one side just looks like perfected skin, but no makeup. And the other side, less perfected and definitely no makeup. So I'd say that's really good. And the only issue I had was the being dry there, but that happens with everything unless I put cream on. So definitely needed my skincare first. Anyway, I'll be back in a minute to show you how this all applies on top of skin tint. So I'll see you for that. So hopefully you can see from that demonstration that it worked really well for that, either for that base before applying everything else, which could be one way of using it, or for a no makeup day. I thought it was very perfecting. And the only thing I've actually done is I've repeated what I did in that video by putting it across my eyes and into this darkness area here. So that's how I normally use a corrector. But I would say that using it the amount I did, I already had to twist the pencil up twice. So I would not recommend using it quite as liberally as I did. These are too expensive for that, and that is not their true intention. but I did want to test it for that. So I don't think I will regularly use it for my eyes and for this, but it's good to know maybe for travel that you've got something that can have these multi-purposes. But I did whiz through it because I had to twist up twice, so it's worth keeping that in mind. And as you saw from that video, I pretty much established that Lisa's table was completely accurate and shade 2 is exactly what I need for everything. But I still think that shade 1 might have a place, and that's what I want to try straight away now. So this is the one with rosy undertones, so that's the only thing that might not work, is the fact that it's rosy undertones, but it's lighter. So what I think this might work for, I'm hoping, is underneath the brow. Yeah, this is going to work, you know, for sharpening up my eyebrows. So I put it here. 207 from Bouquet Beauty is what I always use for this, and now just blending this in. Now this is something I always do with the Makeup Forever pencil in Boundless Bisque. And this looks like it's complete perfection for exactly that. So that's great. I thought it was going to be good for this. This could also be very good for tidying up around the lips. I don't know if it could be too bright, this shade though, so maybe shade 2 would be good for that. So if your lipstick goes outside the edges and you want to do a bit of a correction rather than rubbing it out and removing foundation, that could be another option. So shade 1 for my skin tone is working really nicely for basically brightening and sharpening up the eyebrow here. So easy to apply in this pencil form. I don't know if you noticed, but I was going in and out of focus then, so I've completely rejigged my background. I've only recently changed it, and my camera was insisting on trying to focus on the candle. Swapping sides seems to have worked, and it seems to have stopped doing it, so hopefully it'll stay okay now and it won't be blurred. But I have now blended out the concealer underneath both of my brows, and I do think it was perfect for that. So I'll just show you Boundless Bisque, the one I always use, and show you it compared to this one number 1 concealer. So you can see if they look a bit similar. I think it's a bit more brightening, the concealer, but it still works really well. So that is the Lisa Eldridge in 1, and this is Boundless Bisque. So definitely an option. And I think one thing I also might try is I've got Victoria Beckham, the eye brightening waterline pencil in my waterline on this side. And I'm going to try 1C, even though possibly 2 would be better. I'm going to try this as well in the waterline, because this could be a good shade for me for brightening the waterline. I will try 2 next time, so I can let you know in my end of month update. I think that works. So this is less of a sort of warm tone in the eye. But yeah, I think it definitely works for that. So there's another way of making this work. So like I said in my initial review, when I was trying it all underneath, I don't get spots. So something like this, I like the idea of it being multi-purpose. So it's not just for hiding spots, which might only happen once a month, if that. So it is really a product, is it going to be worth my while buying it? And the answer so far is a definite yes. I think all over the lid I wouldn't do all the time because I'm going to use up the pen. I'd probably just do that for travel. But under the brow and in the waterline for regular use, 100%. It looks really good. Very easy to blend out, very brightening, perfect shade as well in shade 1. But one thing I did just notice actually, as I was trying to read the shades on these, and I picked up shade 3, and all the writing, if you can see, is pretty much disappeared. And I was testing by going like this, and it disappeared even more. So all the writing, just from me doing that, is gone, so you can't read the number on it. So that's just something to be aware of. I don't really, well, I suppose I'll know the colours. I'll just test if it happens with the other one. Maybe I was just unlucky with that one. So if I rub my finger up and down this, doesn't seem to be doing it on this one, so maybe it was just that one. Now it has faded a little bit, so just be aware of that if you pick up 2. But obviously you can see the colours, so don't worry too much about the writing, because for me it's fairly obvious. You can see this one's rosy and this one's more of a sort of neutral finish, so I can tell the difference. So I'm not worried, but just keep that in mind. So what I'll do now is go in with the Lisa Eldridge Skin Tint, which I wanted to show you the application because I wanted to show you this brush. I've kept the box that it came in because I thought it was a really nice box, so I wanted to show you. So this is the new Seamless Blend seamless blend brush called Seamless Blend Face Buffing Brush, meticulously designed by Lisa. This face buffing brush features ultra densely packed bristles that form a soft, even dome for seamless all over face application, ensuring all liquid complexion formulas are evenly distributed without clumping or streaking. Crafted with Dermocura, which is a distinctive synthetic fibre, this brush is hypoallergenic, suitable for all skin types, even over the most delicate and sensitive skin. Silky fibres are ideal for the face products and make it very easy to clean. This is cruelty-free, vegan and latex-free. So it comes in this really nice box. And here is how it looks inside the box. So I just thought it was presented very nicely. And because I spent over a certain amount, I did actually get this free, which is the sort of pencil case for putting, I thought you could actually get your skin tint and a couple of other bits and bobs in there. Not a lot, but if you're going for that light coverage day, pop your new Pinpoint concealers and a few things and you've got your very natural makeup day in a little package. So that's quite nice. Also maybe use it for brushes would be an option. So I'm going to take my skin tint now. So I've got this in the shade T3 and I'm going to use this new brush. So it's a very dense brush. I should have shown you, now it's dirty. Very dense brush and a very small handle, but that's something that the Wayne Goss brush has that I absolutely love. And it does feel super soft actually. It reminds me a bit of the Merit brush, the Merit #1, but possibly a bit softer. And it's blending in the skin tint beautifully. Very nice brush actually. And very good again for travel because it's just not too big. So I'm specifically putting the skin tint on because it gives me such light coverage that I'm more likely to see some of my marks through my skin, and then I can try out the concealer on top of this, the Pinpoint concealer, to actually correct some of those marks. So the skin tint is giving me very light coverage, like I said, so it's going to be an ideal way to really test out the Pinpoint concealer, especially because I do have quite a bit of red in my cheeks at the moment, which I'd like to do a bit of correcting with, like I did in my first test. I'm just popping a bit of concealer underneath, not this one obviously. So this is the Beautiful Skin from Charlotte Tilbury. So now using the Pinpoint concealer in shade 2, let me just show you how this is looking after using it. So I completely used it and that was after twisting it up a second time. So I do think this will be used up super fast if you just do what I did in that first demo. So I'm going to just do what I would probably want to do, which is when I'm wearing a skin tint, what marks on my face are bothering me, and one of them is certainly this one. And I will tap in the first time. I didn't like that when I was doing it before onto my bare skin, but maybe on top of skin tint I will, so I'm going to try that. Well, that worked fabulously, didn't it? Wow, this works much better for me on top of skin tint with fingers. Well, there we go. That age spot has literally completely disappeared. And I've got this freckle here, so let me try that next. And then just tap gently. Nearly disappeared. It's a very dark freckle, this one. So I think that that's reasonable. I could probably go in with a bit more, but it is quite dark and it's not actually something I personally want to conceal, but I want to test this out to show you. Whereas the age spot or sunspot there, I do want to conceal. So there, that's definitely helped. Not gone, but helped. And then two areas that bother me on the side of my face is here where I have my veins showing, which I also did in my first demo. So again, let's just tap that in over there. This isn't so much a pinpoint because I'm covering a whole vein, but still doing a very nice job of covering that up as well. And I'll do this vein here now. I wouldn't say it's disappeared, but again, it's quite dark. But it's certainly muted it and made it much less obvious, so it sort of softened it. And then if I was going to look at my cheek here, I've got that mark which I showed you in the first one, and I've just got a few little sort of red marks here and there on my cheek, which I don't always get, but I do seem to be getting them more at the moment in the winter probably with the heating and cold weather, plus at the moment we're having really cold temperatures here, so these changing temperatures do affect my skin. And that taps in really, really nicely there. So it's definitely not like a full coverage option. This is a very soft muting option, if you like. So if there's something that bothers you, even though that age spot totally vanished, but then that's very light in shade. I've got a bit of redness here on my chin. I could again do a bit there. The amount I'm putting on now I feel is a bit too much, because I would need a pen every month, I think, if I use this much. Like if I show you, I rolled it up and I'm already that far down. But yeah, that is exactly the way I would use this. And then I've just got these little marks here. So if I just do some sort of literally pinpoint there. Now the skin tint has balanced out a lot of this, but some of them are just a bit too red for the skin tint to completely tackle, which is why this is so good. When I'm wearing a stronger foundation with sort of medium coverage, I do find that these marks are not visible, so I wouldn't need it for that. So this is definitely something I would only use as a no makeup or a skin tint day. But I think that has really perfected everything I wanted it to perfectly. So shade 2, if you're my skin twin, shade 2 is perfect, and it's worked really, really nicely. Now there's only one other way I'm hoping I'll be able to use this. Well, I did mention the lips, if your lip product goes outside your lips. But I think what this could be brilliant for is when you want to tidy up your eyeshadow. So I'm going to go on and do an eyeshadow application, but I'm going to make sure I'm not being overly careful with how neat I am here, so that, you know, when you want to correct it because it doesn't look very neat and you want to sharpen the lineup, I'm going to test it for that, because if I can use it for that, that would be really, really useful and very precise as well. So that's what I'll test it for next. But in the meantime, I'll go on and do the rest of my makeup and come back to do the eyeshadow palette from Dior. And after I've shown you that eyeshadow palette, we can then try it. So now onto the eyeshadow. So I've got this one here from Dior, the Sweet Bouquet. So before I talk about it, I'll quickly show you a swatch video. So here's that video. So it looks like this one is being added to the permanent line, so it's not coming up as the limited edition like the two ones we've already seen, Pink Mania and Peach Mania from the Glow Mania Spring collection. But this seems to launch around exactly the same time, and it's just been added to the permanent collection. So if you go through all of their quints, this is now the last one you'll find, the most recent, and this is £58 like all of them. Coming with these standard 2 brushes that I never use, just quickly showing you, a sponge one and a normal blender brush. So let's get straight into applying this. I'm going to start with the pink, I think, which is the most matte, but it still has quite a bit of shine, as you probably saw from the swatch video. So I'm going to start by putting some pink in the crease and outer V. Still a very, very light palette, like the spring releases. But this one does seem to have more impact from a shimmer point of view, I think, from swatching it. And also, I do need to give a shout out to a good friend of mine and fellow YouTuber, Bee, and she has a channel here called Bee Shops Pink, B-E-E Shops Pink. I have actually put that in my comments below, in my description below if you want to see the link. But Bee said, you need to get this. You've got the spring collection, but this one's better. So B, you twisted my arm and I've got it. So let's see if you're right, eh? Me and B are constantly making each other buy things by messaging each other saying, have you seen this? Have you seen that? And before we know it, we've ended up buying more than we were going to. Very bad influence on each other. This is a lovely, brightening, definitely shimmery finish pink, but not shimmery in the sense that it's too bad on my mature skin. A lot of shimmers look dreadful in this area, and this one doesn't. I quite like this actually. Very nice finish. I think rather than trying the entire thing on my eye, I'm actually going to try two different things with this. So for the first look, I'm going to go with the purple, and for the other look, I'll go with this one here. I think if I do all of them in one go, they will just sort of mold together and become one colour. I don't think that would work quite so well for me. So I'm going to just go with that. So I'm using my Rapha Shodo 03. Should know that one off by heart by now. To build a little bit of purple lilac here into the outer V and start bringing it onto the lid. This is a very shimmery lilac. Again, not a shimmer that I particularly dislike on my mature skin. I really am enjoying the Dior formulas, you know, from their spring collection. I loved the formulas. I thought they were really complementary formulas and always easy to work with, always subtle and very pretty. And I think the word bouquet really does describe this one well, the soft elegance of a Dior quint. So you can see that it's definitely showing up. Certainly not giving depth, but I wouldn't expect it to. You don't buy a palette like this expecting depth, really, do you? So if I just clean off that brush a bit now, I'll go straight into this shade here and do the same thing on the other side in the outer V. I'm bringing it slightly onto the lid. This one's more of a sort of browny mauve. Maybe not mauve actually. More of a sort of beige almost. But let's see how it looks on the eye. I definitely prefer the purple. I'm not sure this colour has as much of a place in the quint as the purple does, to be honest. And now I will take my Shodo 00, the flatter one, and I'm going to take this shade here all over the lid for both looks. I'm keeping these looks super simple. I'm not trying to complicate them at all here. So I've shown you how this eye looks without the purple and this one just with the purple, but I feel like I want to even them up because I much prefer this purple lilac shade in the outer V, so I'm actually going to put it here on top of that sort of beigey one that I've already done. See, straight away I think that looks better. And using the Rapha 3, I'm also going to run this purple lilac underneath the entire eye. And remember I said about being a bit messy, so I can go in and tidy up. So I'm now going to take this in a sort of messy way here. A bit lower than I might like it to be, which is when I tend to reach for a concealer to correct or a white powder. So on both eyes I've got the eyeshadow going too low down, so it does need correcting. So I will leave that until the last minute. And now using my 207 brush, I'm going into the lightest shimmer and popping that in the inner corner. I think the star of the show in this palette for me is that purple lilac. I think it is really pretty. So I'm taking this underneath the brow as well. So now I'm going to go in with the concealer pencil and do a bit of tidying up. I think I won't go with shade 1 because I think it is too brightening for this. I think I will stick with shade 2. So I'm going to put, I need to roll it up again. I'm going to put a line of this here. Actually, I should sharpen it a bit because it definitely needs to be a little bit more defined. So you can see how this is after sharpening. So this is how it's currently looking. And now after sharpening, so now I'm going to take a line here and here. I'll go over this one again and using this 207 brush again, which I just use for so many things. I'm just going to gently bring it down and blend it out. So obviously with this eyeshadow it's not really dark, so you're not seeing that much of a drastic difference, but obviously if you've gone in with a really dark matte and you've got a line that's coming down too low, this is going to be even more effective. But it's certainly done the job and I think it works quite well for it. Just don't do both eyes, do one at a time, definitely. So my eyes need a bit more depth, I think, because this eyeshadow palette definitely does not have depth. I think it's very pretty, specifically that lilac shade. Actually, before I do anything, I might look at the Glow Mania so you can see the difference with these shades. So this was the Pink Mania, and here we have the Sweet Bouquet. So you can see there's quite a considerable difference. The pink in the Pink Mania is lighter, and there are no other shades that match particularly, so it is completely different. So I've gone in with a little bit of brown liner and some brown mascara, keeping it really soft. But one thing I did do on this side, and just testing to see if I like it first, is put some of the pink across the lid over that shimmer, because I wanted to see more of the pink. So I really like that actually, so I'm going to do that again. So taking it on my little finger, I'll show you now if I put it here. So if I was to do this look again, I think I would do pink all over the lid and in the crease and in full transition area, basically outer V, and then I would go in with the lilac purple outer V area and bringing it onto the outer third of the lid, and then use one of the lighter ones in the inner corner. So pretty much use 3, because I think the pink across the lid is really pretty. But do keep in mind this pink is sitting on top of this shade here. So maybe you prefer those two together. Obviously I would need to play around with that and see how it looks with and without that. But I think they look really nice together actually. So there we have Sweet Bouquet. And yes, B, you were right. It is really pretty. What do you think? Lovely. So now let's go in with the rest of the face. So I'm going to use blusher now, this one from Glossier. So I already know that this formula from Glossier is a really, really good formula. It's called the Cloud Paint formula. I do have a number of these in my collection and they do apply beautifully. And I believe they're multi-purpose, so you can use them in different ways, maybe eyes and lips and all sorts. I could be wrong, but I believe they are. This one does actually just say cheek colour, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of Danessa Myrex. Anyway, I had a feeling that was the case. Maybe I'm wrong. But I only use them for the cheeks. And I'm just going to put this on the back of my hand because Black Cherry is a terrifying shade for me. But I did see this on the promo pictures on someone super fair and it just looks so beautiful. So I'm hoping I can get away with this. So I just need to open it because it's got a little seal on the top, and let's put some onto the back of my hand. So super, super dark. So I'm going to work this into my hand first of all with my finger. That is actually terrifying. I do not know if I can get away with this. Look at that. Wow. Ugh. Can I wear this? Anyway, I'm going to use the same brush from Lisa Eldridge, and I use this to put in my contour, my cream contour, and I haven't cleaned it off from the foundation. I just sort of tapped off a little bit into the palm of my hand, and this is how I use the Merit #1 brush, so I use it for everything, which is really cool and very easy. So now I'm going to see if I can use it for this blush. So I'm going to just tap in. So just got that much on the brush, and now let's see. Whoa, it still looks massively pigmented, so I've got to be really, really, really careful. That tiny tap is tons for me. This might be answering my question about can I get away with Black Cherry, is it terrifying? And I think the answer is, for my complexion, yes. It is terrifying. That is too much for me, even with that tiny little dab. You might watch this thinking it's absolutely fine. But for me, I don't like bold blush. I do like quite a mild shade, light shade maybe, not mild. But anyway, this brush is doing a good job of blending it in and making it sort of blend into the rest of my skin tint and become a lot less severe. So there we are, without me adding anything on top. Because obviously I can go in with a powder to calm that down, but I don't really want to because I've got the skin tint on underneath. And I want to sort of keep that nice glow I've got at the moment. So that's blended in quite nicely actually. So there we are, it's calmed down rather well. Oh, I like it now, you know. So there we go. Has it dried down already on the back of my hand? This really does dry down. Do you know, that is almost dry. Look. This is another one you need to work with really quickly. I think I'm going to have to put another bit on the back of my hand. So this time putting a lot less on my hand, buffing it right into my hand and seeing what I've got on the brush. That worked out better actually. So I really buffed it into my hand like this before taking it. And that was much better. Look how much better that is for me to apply, much quicker as well. Oh, that is really nice. So there we go. Looks like black cherry does work for me. I was hoping it would work with the lilacs. I'm not entirely sure if it does. What do you think? Probably rather go with a pinky blush, I think. But anyway, I'm testing out the black cherry from Glossier, so it is what it is. But I think I'd probably choose a pinker finish than this deeper cherry. But I do really like this. I think with a different type of eyeshadow shade, this would look really nice. No tackiness hardly at all. It dries down really quickly, and I haven't set my face with a skin tint either, so the tackiness is really not bad at all. I think I'll just put a little bit of highlight. I'll use this one from Hindash, which since reviewing I cannot stop using, the La Luna. So I'll just get my fan brush and take some of this highlight now and run a little bit here. This is stunning, absolutely stunning. Well, going by the amount I used of this will probably still be here in 10 years time, because I need literally the tiniest little drop on the back of my hand. I think what I could do is buff it into the back of my hand and quickly do both cheeks. That would be a better way of not wasting any product. But I think that's beautiful. I really, really like that. So now for the lips, which I have to admit scare me an awful lot more. So we have the lip liner in Black Cherry. The title of this is Lip Line. So there's a number of colours you can get. I got this from, I think it was Cult Beauty that launched it. I think it was. Anyway, I've put the link below. This is so deep. Let me show you on the back of my hand. Very scary shade for me. So I'm going to attempt to line my lips with this extremely deep shade. Very creamy formula, this. Now I'm going to take a brush to buff this in a bit because it is too deep for me not to. And now going in with the Black Cherry Balm dotcom. So I know that this is a beautiful formula, but I only ever think of these as lip balms, not very pigmented. But in the picture, this one looked like it was. So I'll put some on the back of my hand. So that's how it looks alongside the liner. Let's take this onto the lips. Oh, that's pretty. Lovely smell, this one. I don't know if it's a cherry smell. It's fruity. Oh, that is really pretty. It's so cool to have a lip balm that really is pigmented, because they never are they? And for cherry, that is not too pigmented. For me, that is just right. It is exactly like the promo pictures on my cheeks and on my lips. It was accurate. I was worried when they came. I thought, wow, these are going to look terrible on me. No, they are not. I absolutely love that. What do you think of that combination? Now, I know that this colour won't last too long. The liner might, so what I will do is I will put a comment below now and let you know, because it will be at least probably 2 hours, I would say, from me applying this to when I've actually got through to the edit section. So I'll let you know if the liner is still there. Be very surprised if any colour is left from the lip balm, but the hydration might still be there. Lots of lovely hydration. It's a very, very nice formula, the Glossier Lip dotcom, as it's called. So there we go. That is everything I've got to try for you today. So looking back at everything I've tried, I think that these pinpoint concealers are excellent. I do think you need to be careful how you use them though, because if you're too liberal with them, you're going to fly through them and you'll have to buy them all the time. Use them exactly for what they're supposed to be, which is the pinpoint, or for very fine areas like for me under the brow. I really like the way that this looks under the brow, and I also really like the way that I could fix my makeup here. So for me personally, that's how they're going to work. So I'm going to keep shades 1 and 2. I think shade 3 doesn't have a place for me, but I will keep shades 1 and 2, and I will use number 1 for under the brow, and that's it. I don't think I'll use it for anything else, but I think it's really good for that. Oh, the waterline, sorry, I used it in my waterline. So yeah, waterline and under the brow. And I will use shade 2 for the cleanup and for any spot areas I want to correct, especially when I'm going for either the no makeup or the skin tint sort of finish. So I'll just use it for very specific areas. So if I do get a spot and I want to cover it, I could put it underneath my makeup. That's another option. Even with foundation, if you have a big spot, sometimes it can be really hard to cover up. So putting this on first could be a good option, really letting it dry down and then going in with foundation. So that's what they're going to be for me. I'm going to be putting both of these on my desk and I will be using them regularly. So they're going straight here into my regular use section on my desk. And I will also be letting you know at the end of the month how I'm getting on with them and how I'm using them and if I'm still enjoying them and if I found other ways to use them. But so far I think that they're extremely multi-purpose and I really like them. The brush I thought was fantastic, actually, fantastic, and I love the size of it. It did everything I needed it to perfectly. It says that it's a seamless blend and that's exactly what it is. This gives you a seamless blend. It is the perfect match. I can't find anything, my desk is such a mess. But anyway, it's the perfect match for the skin tint from Lisa Eldridge. It really is. But also I think you could use this with lots of foundations. And like I said, I used it with my liquid, my cream contour. It would go with cream bronzer and cream blush. And if you go in that order, you don't even need to clean it. That's what I find with Mary. I used the Charlotte Tilbury concealer here and I dabbed it in with that. And then I used contour, dabbed it in with that. And then I've used this for the blush. So if you go in that order, I think you're not applying colours where you shouldn't, because obviously when you've got the blush on it, you don't want to be tapping that up here. But going in that order, this brush did all of that. So it is a really, really, really good brush. Loved it. And the Glossier products, I'm not surprised by the quality or the finish and the way they apply, because I know that all three of these formulas I've tested before and really do enjoy a lot. But it's the colour that surprised me. I was hoping it was as it is in the promo pictures, and it absolutely is. So really, really enjoying these. And I love this black cherry trend. If this is how it looks on me, then me and black cherry are going to be really good friends this year, even though I'm sure there will be other brands coming out with much richer, bolder ones, which would probably terrify me. But anyway, the Glossier black cherry, gorgeous. And then we have this palette from Dior. I think it's a nice second option. I wouldn't necessarily say you need this plus the other two. I would choose one of the three if I were you, which colour palette most suits you. I think this one is really pretty. I think the shimmers in this are a little bit more impressive maybe than the Pink Mania. But I love Pink Mania because it's got that green. So I personally would choose Pink Mania over this one. But I would probably choose this one second over the Peach Mania, so it really depends. But if you've got my skin tone, I think that the Pink Mania and this one, the Sweet Bouquet, are probably the best for my skin tone. And I really like that pink on the lid now when I'm seeing it, I really do. So I think I will play around with this a lot, and I think probably the best advice would be not to use all the colours. Try and focus on having an all purple look, maybe just with one shimmer, or an all pink look with one shimmer, and use it in multiple ways like that, because you don't really need them all together, I don't think. But I think that the lilac, purple and pink stand out on their own as really pretty, very subtle spring look, and I do really like it. So overall, I can't really say that anything I've tried isn't a solid 10 out of 10 in all honesty. Very, very impressed. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you already ordered the Lisa Eldridge Pinpoint Concealer? Have you picked up maybe the Black Cherry collection or this new Quint? I keep saying quad in my head. I don't know if I said that out loud. Quint from Dior. I would love to hear your thoughts. And what do you think? Are they worth buying or do you hate them? I'd love to hear whatever you've got to say in the comment section below. And if you've enjoyed this, please do hit the like button and the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. And if you are, you're at the end of my video, and I appreciate you being here so very, very much. And I hope to see you all again for my next video. Take care, everybody. Bye.